So 3 down, 1 to go. All that's left is the leader, Rod, the champion of the 4 Grandmasters. So once again, quick save, but we'll be using the same deck we used against Jack. So this is it for all the cards. Now, like Lance, Rod's deck isn't only based on dragon types because we don't have any electric energy. This poses a bit of an issue. Let me get Magnemite in the active spot because I'm afraid if I don't get any energy to lose Electabuzz. That's a bit unfortunate. So he's got Kangaskhan, Dratini, Lapras. This having no energy is obviously not good. But he has more than just normal types and the Dratini family. He also has the dragon-ish Pokemon, like Lance would have, with the Charizards and the Gyarados. So let's get... I mean, it's not all that important that you have an energy on Kangaskhan. If you want to draw your deck dry, that's okay by me, I guess. So normally I wouldn't be wanting to use Magnemite for damage, but at this point we don't have much of a choice. So let's see what this guy wants to do. You put that energy on Magikarp. So if you evolve that thing, I'll be a little bit nervous, but not yet. Depending on how many times he uses Fetch, we may or may not want to stall him out, but it's a little too early to decide that. It's always an option. The fact that he's building up that Magikarp is frightening me a bit. Or he's just building up the Lapras, that's okay, I guess. It's really annoying that I'm not drawing into any energy at all. So unlike the other legendary Pokemon cards that we've seen up until this point, and if you put that on... Yeah, let's get that off Dratini. I think you require 3 energy to attack. That's a risk I'm willing to take. Now, obviously, self-destruct kills you. Not in a big hurry to do that. Just hoping for another energy so I can start attacking with Magneton when I evolve it. But obviously, it's extremely helpful in order to... I think that's the one that requires 2 energy to attack. It's really helpful to get rid of the double colorless energy because it counts for 2 and you can only have 4 in your deck. So if you see your opponent attach one of those, really helpful to use your energy removal to get rid of the DCEs. But he's not necessarily building anything up, so I'm not worried enough to start using energy removal on anything in particular. When it becomes a threat, then I'll start to do that. Still not getting any energy. Obviously, I could have used Self-Destruct to get rid of him, but then I wouldn't have any Pokemon left with energy to attack. So he's got Dragonair going. And he's still not necessarily building up the Dragonair, but we haven't seen Dragonair before. It needs 3 energy to do 1 attack, and 4 to do the other. Both of which are kind of interesting. And unlike the other legendary Pokemon cards, I can't believe I still haven't gotten an energy card yet. Unlike the other legendary Pokemon cards, Dragonite can only come into play as an evolution card. Is he going to retreat it? Nope, I think he needs 3 energy to retreat. So there's Tauros, but again, no energy. So let's start... I think I have 2... No, I only have 1. Thought I had 2. Oh no, because I used it on the other thing. Right. So I have the other Raichu. I guess I could play that. I'm really upset I don't have any energy. I have 23 24 to 26 energy in this deck, and I've only drawn 2 out of 22 cards. Well, technically 16, because 6 of them are prized. So let's get you so we can get Magneton going. And at least whatever he wants to bring in... Well, we only have 60 HP. So I want to say wouldn't be able to kill us. But it could, depending on what it is. Like the Gyarados. So that's only going to do 50 damage. The thing is... I do want this thing dead, and unfortunately, for whatever stupid reason, Gyarados' weakness is Grass, meaning we can't knock it out. Which makes no sense, because as a water flying type, it's 4 times weak to electricity and neutral to Grass. But for whatever stupid reason, Gyarados is weak to Grass. This game is stupid, sometimes. So we have... Actually, my play area. Self-destruct would only do 80 damage, and does 20 damage to all Pokemon on all... Here's the thing, though. I'm contemplating it. It's a ridiculously risky move. And it has... I'm not sure what I want to do in this position, honestly. Self-destruct would be 2. Because we wouldn't be able to knock it out, that's the issue. I have the plus power, but it would only do 90 damage, as opposed to 80. My retreat cost is 1, so it's not terrible, but I don't think I have many great options on the bench to bring in. And then if I use this energy... Tell you what, it's a bit of a risk. What I'll do is I'll retreat to the bench, I'll bring in Electabuzz, I will... go for the Paralysis. And that completely failed. Well, we'll see what he does, and if he does it, we have another option. Okay, so it looks like we may have to play the stalling game because he's used 2 Professor Oaks already. So what we could do here... Actually, no we can't, because we would need 2 additional energy to use that attack. Right? Because we had to discard 1 off of Magneton. That's... Not sure what I want to do here. Because even if I heal this thing, he's going to bring in... I'm not sure. So what I was thinking of doing is if I could get Magneton back in here and do that 90 damage with the plus power self-destruct, but then again, we would need 2 additional energy to do that. And I would be banking on the fact that I draw another energy, which is likely considering how many we haven't drawn yet. But it's a big risk to take. I think I'll take it. We'll see what happens. So we'll definitely be knocked out on this turn. And now it all depends on what we draw as our next card. Bill's helpful. And we did get our energy card, so the option is available. We'd knock ourselves out, but I don't think anything's really in a position to threaten us at this point. And don't need a potion. So I guess we'll go for the self-destruct. Take out his biggest threat, and do 20 damage to everything. That's not what I wanted to say. Because now I don't have anything that's readily available to attack. Now, thankfully his Dratini can only do pound, but that doesn't necessarily help us too much. So I can get a potion going. No need to get the other potion going. I don't think he has anything I necessarily want to bring in. Everything's kind of ready to attack. Dragonair's not. That one kind of is. But this one's only doing 10 damage to us, so I'm not in a hurry to get out of here. And we need 2 energy to attack. And he's got another Gyarados going now. Wonderful. So there's our double colorless. And if I remember correctly, Tauros's Rampage attack does 20 damage plus 10 for each damage counter on you, but you get there's a chance you get confused when you use it. So there's no need to use that yet. And I think we're okay with everything else. But Rampage would do 40. Is there anything else that would be... No. So we have 2 options. If we're able to start breezing through his deck... Now here's the thing, I could play risky and just keep the damage on Tauros for the sake of doing Rampage, but he'll probably knock me out with whatever he brings in next, so I don't see the need to do that. So we'll just play another potion to be safe. I think everything else we're okay with. But at this point, if we're not able to get all these knockouts, if he backs us into a corner, we only need to stall for 10 or 11 turns. So it gives us 30. Rampage would do 50, that's not enough. But we would be able to do 60 if we had the plus power, which we do. So we have the 2 Raichu in here. 1 Giga Shock lets you choose 3 of your opponent's Pokemon to do 10 damage to. And the other Raichu, I'm not sure which one I like better in this situation. I guess I would like the other one. So let's put it on that one then. And I guess we can play plus power to do Rampage. And if we do get confused, we can always use a full heal to heal ourselves. And if he doesn't have a fire energy, if he has another double colorless, okay, good. So Charizard is one card we never got to see, necessarily. Its Pokemon power allows it to use any energy cards that are attached to it to count towards its fire energy requirement. So even though he attached double colorless, Energy Burn essentially makes it into a fire-type attack, which allows him to use Fire Spin, which would do 100 damage, and force him to discard 2 energy cards. Now, you need to note that this says 2 energy cards, meaning that the double colorless energy card only counts as 1 card, even though it's 2 energy. But none of this means anything, because we can heal our confusion, we can Gust of Wind in something that we can kill really easily, and take our final prize card. And that does it for Rod, and the 4 Grandmasters. So now that we've defeated all 4 of the Grandmasters, we're finally able to inherit the legendary Pokemon cards. I'm sure anyone who's ever played Generation 1 probably saw this twist coming, although to be fair, because he wasn't shown off in this Let's Play at all since I'd already played through the 8 clubs, you have no idea he even exists. This is our game's rival, Ronald. To this point, you would have fought him at 3 different times. We didn't at all because they were all along progression points that I had passed for the sake of having pre-established decks to show off. But indeed, we have to defeat our rival if we want to inherit the cards. So let's save one last time and face off against our rival, who's already inherited all 4 of the legendary Pokémon cards. One final battle to settle it all. Now, since he has inherited all 4... Really? Since he has inherited all 4 of the legendary Pokémon cards, you will see all 4 of those cards in this deck. Interestingly enough... Can I mess that up any more than I tried? Interestingly enough, any... Let me do a complete 180 and try that again. He has all 4 of the legendary Pokémon cards in his deck. However, he only has 1 type of energy in his deck. And because of Moltres' Pokémon power, that is fire. So now we actually get to see Fire Giver come into play. It takes a random number between 1 and 4 fire energy from your deck into your hand. And he was lucky enough to get 4 of them. So now he has plenty of energy to do whatever he wants. However, and there's Scoop Up, so he's able to put the card back onto his bench and then draw more energy with it. Watching bit 4 again. So he was able to use that 1 card with Scoop Up to draw 6 fire energy in a single turn, which can be frightening. And which Raichu is this? That's the Giga Shock Raichu. So he's got plenty of fire energy going right now. He's gonna do it again, isn't he? How many fire energy do you need, Ronald? Come on. He drew 8 fire energy in 3 turns. Plus he's drawing with Fetch as well. And I'm not getting any additional... I believe this Raichu requires 4 electric energy, which we don't have. So let's... I don't know if I'm necessarily in a hurry to get rid of this Kangaskhan, although since it is the one thing that he's building up, maybe it's not a bad idea. Because Thunder Jolt, there's a possibility of doing 10 damage to yourself as well, and I didn't want to do it if I didn't necessarily have to. Here's Peal of Thunder. That's not good. Magnemite only has 10 health left. I guess I'll play that just to... No, it'll still do 30 damage. That was a bit of a mistake, wasn't it? Who else have you been powering up? Dratini? I'm not too threatened by Dratini. But I'd still rather not do damage to myself if I don't have to. If you want to keep drawing cards out of your deck, I'll allow you to do that. He's got all the energy he needs to do whatever he wants. We didn't get to see the legendary Dragonite either. I don't know if I necessarily want to see that, but it's there. And Raichu requires 4 energy to attack. Dragonair could potentially kill us if he gets 2 heads. Decisions. I know Magneton can't attack. I have to take a risk. I'll take a risk. Hopefully we draw an electric energy with the prize card, and hopefully he doesn't knock us out. If he gets 2 heads, or if he has the legendary... Okay, so we did draw it, but that doesn't necessarily help us, because he discarded an energy from us. And he'll probably do the same next turn. What's your retreat cost? 1? Tell you what, let's play Switch. Let's get Magneton in there so we can protect Pikachu. Let's get Pikachu evolved. and then see what happens. At least stall for a little bit of time. Son of a gun. Forgot he had energy removals. So now we need 2 energy cards to do what we need to do. And that's the one I actually wanted. God damn it. There's nothing we can do without energy. Again, we're 2 games out of 3 with this thing, and we haven't had energy cards. Like, almost half of my deck is energy, and we have so few to work with. I'm surprised you didn't do Hyper Beam to ensure the knockout. Not that you need it. So if we don't have an electric energy, I think we're sunk. So I'm not sure how much... I know Plus Power would do for it. You know what? Play it. So 3... Oh, I can't do to... I was hoping I could do that damage to the same one twice. I guess not. So there's Quick Freeze. Didn't affect. Hyper Beam's gonna discard an energy, so we can't attack. And because we didn't get an energy, we can't attack. There are no Pokemon on the bench. We can't do anything. I think we're in trouble. We need basics and we need energy. Because there's nothing we can do. Please play that card again. Darn it. He knows what he's doing. Not getting... Where are my energy cards? I've never felt so paralyzed. Without actually being paralyzed. Give me an electric energy. And I guess we'll evolve you. Paralysis would be nice. Of course not. And he'll remove the energy from me again. This is the problem. When he's allowed to get his Hyper Beam going, you're complete... This is what happens when you don't get energy cards when you need them. There's absolutely nothing I can do. The most I can try to do at this point is stall him out, but I don't think I'm going to last long enough to allow that to happen. And unfortunately, I'm not getting any of the cards that I could use to help move things along, discard my hand, draw more cards. I'm not getting anything like that. And all this time, he's able to build up his cards from the bench. Stop that! So we have what on the bench? Dragonair's already ready. Zapdos is probably the thing I need to bring in, because that's the only thing that won't be able to do anything since he has no electric energy, and he's going to have to waste energy to get this thing out of the active spot. So depending on what we... Get the double colorless off. We'll see whether or not he actually wants to attach energy to get this thing out of the active spot. But he has no fire energy left in his deck because he drew so many with the thing again. So I think... You know, the way this is set up, I believe because his Zapdos requires electric energy to attack and he only has fire energy, he won't be attaching any to his Zapdos in the active spot, meaning that if we just sit here, and I don't think he has a switch, he won't remove it from the active spot unless we kill it. So here's the legendary Dragonite we didn't see Rod use. When you put the Dragonite into play, which you can only do when you evolve Dragonair, obviously, you remove 2 damage counters from all of your Pokémon. So naturally, it's difficult to get that thing into play because you have to have a Dragonair already down. I guess to make things interesting, I can start attacking this thing. The thing is, I won't be doing him enough damage that this would actually become important. So, oddly enough, we went through the entire game without decking out being a serious issue, and between all of the cards that he's been drawing, whether it be from Fire Giver from Moltres, or his bill cards, and I forget if he actually played a Professor Oak or not, but because he doesn't have any energy cards left, actually he has 19 energy, not 19 energy cards, but he has 19 cards in his hand. I'm sure some of them are fire energy. But thanks to a flaw in the AI, I don't believe he's going to be attaching any of them to Zapdos. Which means that the very last game in the entire Let's Play will be the one and only time that we see the opponent deck himself out. It's really weird how the game can turn on a dime like that, and I hate for the final battle to be played like this, but there was next to nothing else I could have done to legitimately win this fight, and even if I had dragged it out as long as I could to get as many knockouts as I thought was possible, chances are it wouldn't happen before he drew himself dry anyway. So it feels like a shallow victory to do it this way, but I don't see any other way I would have been able to pull this one out. So now that he has 0 cards left in his deck, and he's forced to draw a card at the start of the turn, he can't. That's probably the most anticlimactic end to a match I've ever had. But alas, that's the Pokémon trading card game. And now that we've defeated our rival one last time, we inherit the legendary Pokémon cards. The cards themselves seem pleased. That's a bit weird. Yeah, most of the music's been kinda nice. I'm not sure how I feel about this music. So just like the Hall of Fame, we have this thing here. And like all of the card-building decks in Professor What's-His-Name's lab, we can build any one of these decks that we want, including the ones that the Grandmasters themselves were using. Unfortunately, I believe you have to defeat them in order to come back here, and you can't build... Each of them, I believe, has 2 of the legendary Pokemon cards, so you need to not only beat them once to get 1 of each of their cards, but afterwards, when you beat them a second time, you only get 1 of them chosen at random. You don't get the full set again. So you may have to grind through here several times in order to be able to build one of their decks if you really want to. I believe this was... Actually, I haven't seen this deck before. But regardless, the cards are here for the taking. So we get Moltres, we've already seen. Actually, interestingly enough, we've actually gotten to see all 4 of them, despite the fact that 2 of them weren't actually used when we faced the Grandmasters. And from this point on, we're able to include them in our decks if we want to. And that does it for the legendary Pokemon cards and the Pokemon trading card game. So that's almost everything that this game has to offer. There is one additional thing I didn't show off yet because it wasn't available at the point in the story where we were when I started the LP, and that is the... I almost called it the Pokeathlon Dome. I'm playing the wrong game. It's the thing at the very top of the map where you face off against a number of randomly selected trainers in succession, and it's there that you're allowed to play for specific promotional cards that you couldn't get otherwise throughout the game. And I may or may not show that off. It would simply be repeating a couple of the regular trainer battles that we had throughout the game at random and allow you to get access to a promotional card that we probably wouldn't see anyway because we wouldn't be playing any other matches after that. And there's also the House of the Guy in the top left corner of the map that allows you to trade some cards to get certain other promotional cards. But other than that, that's pretty much all this game has to offer. It also had a couple of interesting little additions. If you had other Game Boy owners around that had this game, you could do a card pop, which allows you to get certain promotional cards at random just by... I guess it's sort of like airdrop on the iPhones now. You just kind of get the infrared sensors close to each other and you get a random card. And you can also battle other trainers as well, using your good old-fashioned Game Boy link cable. But other than that, that's pretty much all this game has to offer. Yeah, there's the Challenge Cup. That's where you would get the promotional cards in a little mini-tournament. And I believe there was also a sequel to this game that was produced only in Japan, but has recently been patched for English. I believe it's like Pokemon Trading Card Game 2, there's something about Team GR. So if you're interested in seeing more of this game, I'd encourage you to check it out. I haven't done it myself, and I'm not sure if I will, but it is available. But that's probably going to be the extent of Pokemon that I show on this channel. I know I've mentioned in the past that I may consider doing another Pokemon traditional game, but chances are that's not going to happen, so this is probably as close as you're going to get. And I hope you guys enjoyed the trip down memory lane as much as I did. It's fun to get to try out a bunch of different decks and cards that I haven't used before. And I hope it was as interesting for you guys as it was for me. I know that this hasn't really been one of my more popular Let's Plays, but it was a fun one to do. It was nice to play through a game that I enjoyed so much when I was a kid. And it's a nice change of pace. Still a bit on the fence about what I want to do as my next LP, but of course, you'll find out about it when that first video goes up. Until then, this has been UniversalGiant, and thanks for watching the Pokemon Trading Card Game. See you next time.